We're doing some tests. I want to see comments. So today is spot on here. Whoa. So today is Image Critique Wednesday, and that means I got to make sure I can see you guys. I can read your comments. So I'm going to set up my phone here so I can see the comments come through. Because we got some images to look at. We got some stuff to talk about today. If this is your first time joining us at Six Figure Live, we're in episode 37. This is really an opportunity to kind of bring you guys behind the scenes of what we do here. And so some days we're doing live editing. Some days we're doing critiques. That's Wednesdays or critiques. Mondays and Thursdays, we're just kind of bringing you guys up to speed on what's going on. And then Friday's Q&A. I get so stoked about Q&A Friday because it's just a chance to really answer the actual specific questions that you guys have. Can you go ahead and pull this up for me, Stephen? Bring this over here, my man. Thank you. All right, so as Stephen's pulling this up, I'm going to see who's in the room. And as people are gathering in here, a couple cool things to talk about. So for starters, we just booked a wedding today, which is always exciting. This is funny, actually. So, you know, we still work. Like, we still have to work really hard to make sure that we get the bookings that we do. We still have to hustle. When we get leads in the door, we're still super excited about it. And so one of the past attendees at Abundance was like, I just got another lead in the door. Who's stoked? And this was Thomas. Thomas was a past photographer at Abundance in February. And I commented on there, I was like, he goes, you know, who gets excited still when a lead comes in? And I was like, me. And he was like, baloney. I was like, no way, man. I totally still get stoked every single time a lead comes in the door. It's another opportunity to meet another person, to understand their story. It's another opportunity for us to go and create amazing artwork with someone. And so today, had a follow-up meeting. I had a couple of phone calls in the past with the bride, and today was an actual meeting with her and her fiance. And so they move forward, and I just get excited about it. So anyhow, that's rad. Let me know when you get that up on your phone, my bro.
Oh.
Or on my phone, or whatever you got.
Yeah.
No, yeah. If you can pull it up here.
Yeah.
Dude, Scott's here. Scott, we're going to get into looking at one of your images. So thanks for joining, Scott. 8 others of you guys are here, so fantastic. We have a number of photographers who have submitted work. And so we're going to talk about that just in one more minute. Another thing that's really cool, we did open up registration for Abundance Workshop, I think on Monday. We're going to be closing it tomorrow. But right before I started this, there was a gent who just came on board, and he's going to completely rock his business in 2017, Ryan. And so anyhow, I'm going to give him a call and just learn all about everything he's got going on, and start working through some of the details for when he comes in for Abundance. We're going to have Ryan and then 11 other photographers over at my house for 3 days. And it's going to blow their minds completely. You guys freaking blow their minds. The last 12 photographers, it has just rocked everything. So without further ado, we're going to jump in and take a look at we're going to start with the intro video, and we're going to jump in and start critiquing some work here. So let's do it. No audio. Yay for no audio. It's funny, I was like, there's no audio? And you can hear me saying that there's no audio. You guys, welcome, episode 37. I always love the pre-roll. There's like the banter in the beginning of me just kind of like shooting the shit till people show up. And now we're in episode 37. We're going to be reviewing some images here. We have a Critique Wednesday going on right now. And the way this works is we have a link. It's probably in episode 33, 32, 34, 35. It's all over the place if you just kind of scroll down. And we have a link where you guys can submit work. And we're going to take a look at it as a community here. And I'm going to give you guys some feedback. As we do this, let's kind of set some ground rules here. As we do this, you have to understand, take everything with a grain of salt, because I'm just one dude. I'm also one dude who was not there when the image was taken. And so I know there's all kinds of constraints, there's all kinds of situations that I'm unaware of. And so I'm just going to go at it at exactly what I see. And so hopefully there'll be a lot to be gained from that. Let's hop over and take a look at what we got today. And there's a ton of images, by the way. So I went through and I just kind of began to choose some of them here or there, and some images that I responded to right off the bat. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. So this image here comes from Adam Bull. There's a couple of his that I wanted to take a look at. This is one that I was drawn to because it's a shot that I love doing. I love getting opportunity to actually lay a bride down, and that's why I responded to this. I think it shows balls, and that means a lot, honestly, in this industry. Is when you actually are willing to push yourself, when you get the balls to do something like this. And here's the deal with this type of shot, you guys. When you decide to go extreme like this and ask a bride to lay down, maybe she offered, I don't know, but most of the time we are there, asking a bride to lay down, asking a bride to go do something maybe that she wouldn't normally do, especially in her wedding dress. There's a great risk involved. And the risk is this: when you do something that is this memorable, you better have an image to show from it. Do you know what I'm saying? When you ask a bride to lay down, she's expecting when she comes in to see an actually usable image from that experience that proves to her that it was worth it. And so it's risky. It takes some balls to do, and it's a high risk, high reward kind of opportunity. And I'd encourage you guys to consider taking some more of those risks. So let's talk about some of the things here that are working, some of the things that are not. I'm really glad that the data came in so we can actually take a look at what was going on here. So we shot this with an 85, 1.8, 1/1000th of a second, ISO 160. I like all the settings. I think it's great. I love what's happening here with this shallow depth of field, focusing just on these eyelashes and then allowing her body to kind of recede. So now let's talk about some of the things that I would want fixed. Well, there's a couple things. One is, I do like that she fills the frame here, but I think it could be maybe a little bit more interesting to see her head a little bit more on the right side of the frame, on this right thirds. Actually, we could even turn on our let me go into this here. Yeah, so I'd like to see if we see these thirds here, her head on this thirds, and then her body receding back into this corner, a little bit more of that angle to bring her eyes across here. That could be something that can maybe improve this image. One of the big things that I immediately responded to is I want her chin to be lifted up, right? I want to see a little bit more of her face. And I think if you were to just ask her to lift her chin up, it would have felt a little bit awkward for her, but to see a little bit more of her face. Luckily, the nose is not breaking the plane of the lips. I think that'd be the big no-no, is when that nose breaks the plane of the lips, or if it breaks out of the cheek. But lifting that chin up would do. I think it would really make the image. Other than that, I love the toning. I love the edit. The edit has a great amount of contrast, and yet it's not too extreme, Adam. I think that there's like a really timeless edit to this, so that's fantastic. Yeah, it's a great portrait. You nailed it. You nailed focus. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Hey, Steven, come over here, man. What's up? I'm going to bring Steven in. Steven, do you have any other thoughts apart from lifting her chin up a little bit more, and again, seeing her maybe over in the right thirds? The other thing, too, is to not crop some of the hair and the flowers, but that doesn't even honestly bug me too much. I think if it just went from right to left, we'd be in good shape. Any other thoughts before I move on?
Let's move on.
Cool. Let's keep going. So this one here, this one's coming from Mike. By the way, Adam, thanks for submitting, dude. Mike, a couple ideas on this. For starters, when I first looked at this shot, I didn't even think it was edited. And maybe it's not. Maybe it's straight out of camera. Maybe it's just raw, straight out. Let's take a look at what's happening. You shot this with 50, f4, 1/100th of a second, ISO 200. So you are using flash here. So now this is a shot where we've got mixed lighting. We got the ambient light in the background. We got some flash exposure going on. Again, going back to the edit, it just doesn't have that pop. It doesn't have the contrast. There's something about it that's like lacking, and I want to see your edit get kind of brought up. Not too heavy-handed, but just I want to see it get brought up. Now we'll kind of work from that standpoint of editing and technical stuff up to the reaction. So going back to now the technical side of things, whenever you're going to be mixing your ambient light here with the flash, I feel like right now there's too great of a difference. The flash exposure on them is much brighter than the background. And so I see you've brought it up. I see you've lifted the shadows. You can see some of the noise here that's happening where you've lifted these shadows to try to save it. So I imagine it was far worse when you shot it in camera. And it was a good attempt, but there's still it's too harsh of a difference. You know, your flash exposure is probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 stops over what your background is. And so what we always do whenever we're doing a shot like this, a reception lighting shot, and I don't want to say always do, because there's times to silhouette and there's times to do creative things. But for this type of shot that you've done here, a nice safe dance shot, and that's what this is. It's a safe dance shot. It's not bad. It's just a safe dance shot. I'd want to see that balance better. So to do that, we were talking a little bit about this at Q&A Friday last week. To resolve your background and this on-camera flash to be a better situation, start with your flash off, okay? And only resolve your ambient light first, okay? And so you're at 50 millimeter, that's great. Your ISO's at 200. You're at f4 and 1/100th of a second. So yeah, that's great. I mean, f4, I would drop it down, man. I'd get even more bokeh. I'd go 1.2 if you could, f2. I don't know, go f2, you know? So start at f2. Have your shutter at 1/100th, 1/200th. If you're worried about motion blur, 1/100th should be fine if you got steady arms. You don't got jitters like me. And then turn your ISO up. Again, this is all with the flash off. All right. Turn your ISO up until you get this ambient light to be 1 stop underexposed. Right now, again, you're probably 3 or 4 stops underexposed. Get that ambient light to be only 1 stop under. Once that's in place, now you can turn on your flash. And now, I don't know if you did TTL or manual, but I'd say go manual. And then start just filling in your flash, powering it up until you balance that out, so that way they're perfectly exposed and the background is only 1 stop under. If you really want to talk about some of the differences here, you could gel that flash and actually match your color temperature, because right now you have all these warm lights and then you have this blue light here and it's mixing and you're getting kind of purple skin tones. You're getting some of this blue cast you're seeing up here, and it's causing some of the complications. This would probably be a better black and white. And actually, you know, I could go in maybe I just will. I'm going to be editing a JPEG here, so give me some grace. But I could even go in, you know, and start editing this as a black and white. And again, I'm editing on top of a JPEG that's been edited. So, but this to me is already better, going black and white, simply because you've got such mixed lighting situations going on. Also, I think black and white can work better in these high contrast situations where the background is so far under and the couple is more kind of exposed. In terms of the couple now, I like the look. Like when I say the couple, I guess I mean the interaction, say what were you saying?
I love the way they're holding hands.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's some nice engagement here with the hands. And obviously this is stuff you don't have control of. You're not going to be like, hey, grab her hand and give it a little squeeze. No. So, you know, if we were to get picky, you could say I want to see a little bit more of him or whatever. But I think it actually does show a great set of emotion there. And so nice work with that. I love the catch light that's hitting in her eyes. But I think the other stuff is kind of the deal breaker. One thing that I would encourage you to do is, again, shoot this at a lower aperture and go 85. Shoot 85, compress in even more, and all these bokeh lights back here would get even bigger. You'd see less of these kind of people in the backgrounds of their chairs, and you'd just see this gorgeous big bokeh lights, and you could step back. Go 85 on that next time. If you don't have one, go rent one or borrow one. Okay, cool. Let's keep going here. Let's see what else we got. This is one here as well. Not as well. This is one from Jacob. So Jacob Naz, I apologize if I'm butchering your name. Jacob, I'm gonna go harsh, and so give me some grace, my man. I really appreciate you guys submitting. I, however, think that this got too heavy. I have a hard time resolving, like just having my mind be okay with selective color in 2016. I think it is something that we have to be careful about as photographers, and all the editing tools that we have available at our disposal between Photoshop and Lightroom and everything else, Coral Painter, we can go really hard on the edits. And so again, this may be just my opinion, but I think that this removes that kind of timeless nature to it. It kind of it dates the file, and so I think it's too harsh. One of the other reasons I feel like it's too harsh is you can see in the histogram up here the amount of information that's gone. You can just see these dropout points. If you take a look, drop out, drop out, drop out, drop out, drop out, and then we get peaking here with these blacks, and you get peeking here with these whites, where this information is just white, and then you go into some of these skins here, and it's a lot of just like blacks in here that are kind of clipped. So I think that those are tell signs of too harsh of an edit, even as we're talking about the just the black and white, and then we throw in the blue isolation, and that's like the I think the cherry on the top of it that just is like, I think we got to pull back a little. Another thing about this that maybe could be worked on. Your eyes in general, you guys, are drawn to the point of that's brightest on the frame, and so there's so much that your eye is drawn to back here in all this tint, and then he's this nice dark figure, but he's also not the only dark thing. He's competing with this bro down here and this like pole, and so I think that there obviously silhouettes can work, but it really has to be a super intentional kind of a silhouette aspect. On the note of this right here, I would actually just pull it out. It's that distracting and it's that easy to remove. Again, I'm working with a JPEG right here, so give me some grace. But I could probably just do this like right there alone and start to pull it out. And I could even start to stack, some of these spot removals and see if I can get that arm to find a spot that arm works. Nope. Yeah, so I'd have to fudge with that a little bit more. That doesn't kill me right there. But even just to get rid of that pole alone, just to have that gone, makes a big difference. It's like this. It's like a revolver at his back. I know it's the diving board, or maybe there's some sort of pole there. I don't know what it is. Anyhow, so that'd be my thoughts, man. I would pump the brakes. I'd pump the brakes and reevaluate. What are you thinking?
The other thing is the composition. I feel like with select a color, people are trying to draw attention to certain things, and obviously this is the point of attention that we want, but it's not quite achieving. I think there's other ways to achieve drawing people's attention in other than with selective color.
Sure.
Even with the cropping, I feel like it's centered up in a frame. It's too far out. Part of it's even cropped out.
Yeah, it's a really good point. If this is where your eyes are supposed to go, it's getting cropped, and yet your eye wants to go to the blue, and now your eye falls off the frame. Even as we're talking about the blue, there's still blue in the tent that if you are trying to draw attention to just the blue cap, I would just remove this blue back there. So cool, let's keep moving. Dude, thanks again for submitting that one. This is one from Abby Paul. Abby is totally coming to abundance. Super stoked, Abby, that you are coming. I've had a couple conversations with you over the phone, and you have your passion for photography and your desire to see your business grow. And again, your desire to see it grow not just for money, but for the sake of like blessing others and blessing your family, and living your day like your dream job has been so cool to see. So anyhow, super shout out to you. I can't wait to have you here. A quick funny story about this shot here. When we got this image in, we thought that this was Stephen Lowe, one of our head photographers at Town Story, because it looks exactly like him. Okay, let's chat about this. So here we go. Now we're talking about a silhouette again, right? So we did silhouette here, and it didn't work because the silhouette wasn't defined enough against the highlights. And so now again we have a silhouette. It's the darkest part of the frame, but it's perfectly defined against the highlights, and it's I think the placement is really nice that they're not perfectly spot in the center. I love the kind of thirds that she's falling into. Another thing about the silhouettes that I see happen all the time that you successfully managed to maneuver around, Abby, is you manage to keep the forms defined. I think silhouettes can quickly turn into blobs when you get a couple that starts to kiss, right? Because a kiss silhouette just turns into like some hairy fuzz mashing into some other hairy fuzz, and it doesn't work. You might know what it is, and then you put it up online, and everyone no one likes it. But we have this gorgeous silhouette right here of her. We have him. The arms, I would caution you to be careful of it. It works because it's her arms around his neck, and so you don't lose his jawline. But the thing that makes her feminine is her jawline right here. And so if it was his arms up here, it would really start to fall apart. We still at least get the curve of his chin, which is really what we need. So again, you got away with it. Just be careful. I love this gap. Again, silhouettes are all about the negative space, you guys. It's a puzzle piece. You need to have this negative space in here and here. I always make sure when I do this, you've done this really well, her hair is pulled all the way back, so you don't have any stray hair coming down behind her chin. It would just kind of make that silhouette fall apart. I'm not sure what you shot this with because all the XF data is gone. My guess is 7200, 85, maybe 8514, 7200, 200, 28. But I like what you did. I like the colors. I love how the background, the separation is there. I'm a fan. I think it's great.
Yeah.
So any other thoughts?
I just love how close they are while still retaining the silhouette, not becoming the blob. You know that there's interaction between them. You can see her. It looks like they're about to kiss. Their heads are tilted opposite ways, seeming you can kind of see a sense of motion of them going in. I love the intimacy that's there.
Yeah, it's solid. Let's keep going. Good job. This is another one from Adam. Adam Boo. All right, dude. So let's take a look here. My first thought is, I think, again, this goes back similarly to the very second one that we were reviewing, and that had to do with balancing ambient and flash exposure. And perhaps this isn't flash. Perhaps this is a video light. So we'll just say just balancing the ambient and then the off-camera lighting situation. I think, let's see if the XF data is there. It is. So we have 50, 1.4, 1/50th, ISO 800. So obviously, man, you were trying to get that ambient light, the bridge, up as high as you could. You went down to 1.4. You were dragging your shutter all the way at 1/50th, and I think you were wise. Anything slower than a 1 over your focal length, you'll have to pretty much be locked down. And so you stopped all the way down, or you went all the way down to 1/50th, and then your ISO. So perhaps there was more leeway in your ISO. I'm not sure what you shot this on. Let me take a look if we'll get some metadata here to see what camera you were on. You were on a 5D Classic. So maybe you were smart to keep your ISO 800. I probably would have said you could pull it up to 12 or 16. 16 I think you can get away with on the Mark 1. So yeah, anyhow, you could have gone up an extra stop to 1600, pulled up some of that ambient light, and then brought your exposure here on this off-camera light on them down, just down a hair. Let's kind of zoom in here and see what's going on. Yeah, so other things, I think compositionally, this over here isn't doing anything for me. As soon as that bridge stops, I could care less about this other side of the frame. And so I'd actually like to see this come into like there. I think that would be better, and maybe we can keep them a little bit more further on that side, something along those lines. Now we have this nice little arc that brings you around to them. It starts here, shooting the bridge, just kind of comes over. I think that's a better crop for you. Other than that, I think that there's more emotion that we can pull here. Again, I was not present, so maybe this is one of the most amazing moments that they've ever had together. Only they know and you know. But I feel like I guess it just feels like a kiss. And it not only just feels like a kiss, it feels kind of like an awkward one because there's like this, the right angle here on his arm with the right angle on hers and this little fist holding here. Like I want to see something that just feels a little bit more like more natural or more passionate or more real or something. And so I think to ignite this shot in a different way, to have given them a little bit more direction, inspiration, something to react to in the midst of it, maybe could have helped that shot. What do you think, Steven?
Yeah, so one thing that I've noticed is the angle of the flash on the couple right there. It seems to be coming from a down-up angle, and it kind of almost gives them a spooky feel. You lose a lot of the details on the top of the head. Mm-hmm. If you just pop that light maybe a couple feet up, shooting it down, I think those give a completely different feel to the couple.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Take a look at that, guys. That's a great observation, Stephen. The light is actually casting shadows upwards. So we're hitting him here, and then shadows are going up. You're hitting his lower arm, shadows are going up. Even here, you're lighting underneath his chin, but then the top of his head isn't receiving light. And so your light, you guys, whenever you're doing lighting, ideally it should be above eye level. You want the catch light to be at the top portion of their eye. And obviously their eyes aren't in this, but it doesn't matter. That's even if you're not dealing with catch lights, the light should always be above eye level. If you're dealing with a modifier, a softbox or something, just put the bottom of the softbox right at the tallest person's chin. The bottom of the softbox at the tallest person's chin, okay? And then you'll have the rest of the 2-foot softbox going above their head. So yeah, I definitely think that's a really great observation. Get that light up higher, bring it down. I think it actually would have been cool too to put a grid on that light and have a better fall off to see like essentially a little bit more of like a spot where like if this portion of her dress started to go and not receive as much light, right? This is me mocking it up, just faking it. And if the light just was kind of like on them, it could be kind of cool to see a little bit more of that gradient fall off and really pull in attention there. Cool. Let's keep moving, you guys. Oh wait, I think I'm only viewing 5D files. Let's go back here. So I'm going to come back to that one. Okay, dude, Adam's got another shot in here. By the way, I just went through and I chose shots that I responded to. So Adam, you sent over 3 that we liked. So I got to talk about something here. One is I'm just confused, only from the edit standpoint. So there's some weird things that are going on. There's like some layering of files, and this goes back to, again, I think just because you can do it, just because we have the tools to edit, doesn't mean that we should. And so there's the risk that happens is the potential to cheapen work, the kind of cancellation of a timeless quality to it. And so I think that when I say the risk of cheapening things, there's just a lot of risk in this. Like for example, there's like some brushing that's going on. It looks like a brush layer or something, and then there's like this tree branch that's out of focus. Then it goes in right up here, and then back out. It was also just not done properly. Like it was kind of sloppy. You missed it because over here you see the layer that you put on top, but you didn't crop it or feather it out accordingly. So if you're gonna go this hard, make sure that you're observing every side of the frame. It reminds me of those Photoshop fails that you see that pop up every now and then from like a magazine. It'll be like Elle magazine, and the person forgot to like put her arm back, or they do like a liquid push, or they liquefy, and they like liquefy her butt in like a way that's impossible. Anyhow, so just keep an eye on that, because if you deliver it to a client, you post that up, you got to own that. You know what I mean? And then now we'll talk a little bit more about the shot itself. So it's actually, candidly, it's kind of hard to talk about the shot itself because I'm so distracted by everything else. But I think what's happening here, let's talk about the couple here. There's a couple things that are done really well. I love that the light, you guys, is coming over his shoulder and it's hitting her face, okay? Not everyone can always have perfect lighting on them, and so whenever you have to make a sacrifice the groom and put the light on the girl, all right? And so right now, his face falls to shadow, her face receives the light. I love that aspect to it. I think it's great. I wonder here if this kind of, the way that he's holding her, maybe that's just how that's how they roll. But I'd love to see something that feels less boxy, less rigid, less formed. Again, we're talking about this right angle that her arm has here, the way that he's kind of holding onto her in a, it's not very loving or something. I want to see like his arm really, like maybe one hand lower, one hand higher, one hand on her arm. Like I want to see her really pull her in. And then I want to see them actually getting in there and engaging more. Like right now they're looking at each other and they're smiling and their noses are touching. And it's very rare that we get that close without just staring at each other straight on. And so I want to see heads tilt. I want to see an embrace. I want to see like something else occur that will make that moment just have more sense. I mean, I can probably count the amount of times on my hand that my wife and I have ever been face to face with our own noses touching, looking at each other's eyes, and 3 of them didn't end well. Okay, let's keep going, you guys. Hey, I appreciate it. I know that this was a harsh critique here, Adam. Once again, keep in mind this is just me. I also have I have an approach to editing that is it's far less heavy-handed, and it's more reserved. And so if this is your style, if this is what you do, then rock it, just rock it better. Okay, so I'm not telling you don't do it. I'm telling you be cautious with it. And if you're gonna do this, let's level up. Would be my thought. Stephen, what do you think?
All right, I think just like based off the image, with the editing that you're doing, it seems that you're trying to draw attention to the bride and groom, obviously, but you're shooting through a lot of things that are seemingly distracting, and it seems that you're trying to replicate the shallow depth of field look with the shot, with editing instead of in camera. And imagine, I guess, if you put on 7200, step on back, zoom on in, shoot through all this, and it will like bulk out nicely. But I think that's something that needs to be done right in camera, not edited.
Yeah, and maybe it's just a gear limitation too. Because I know when I started, I didn't have a tilt shift, and I brought my stuff into Photoshop, and I was like, I'm just going to fake my tilt shift, and I did. And I did it poorly, and then I went and I bought a tilt shift eventually. But so I also get that, and maybe that's the case. All right, so let's take a look at one more. This one, you guys, this comes from Scott. Scott's watching right now. I think Scott's still hanging out with us. He said what's up earlier, so hopefully you're still here hanging, Scott. Scott, you sent this image and you followed up with a message to me. You shot me a message. By the way, you guys, in case you ever wonder this, I read every single email, every single message, every single phone call I get, every text I get from you guys. I read it and I try to respond. Actually, I do respond to everyone. Just might not be the next day. Long story short, Scott, you sent this over to me, man. Thanks for sending it. And you were honest. You were like, hey, dude, I sent you a picture. I want you to critique it. It sucks balls. But I want you to critique it anyway because I struggled with this. I struggled with balancing, like, how do I get my settings right for a sparkler exit? And so let's talk about that. So as we're talking about this, let me pull up a shot to kind of parallel with it because I want to show you guys a visual. I'm going to pull up our website for you guys. I'm going to show you a visual of a sparkler exit that we did to really kind of show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so let me open up our work. Hey, if you haven't seen the work that we do here, here you go. Here's some of it. Let me find that sparkler exit shot. Here we go. Here's the sparkler exit shot. That is butter. That's a good-looking dude right there. That's Ben Adams, everybody. Okay, so let's contrast it. There's two approaches to doing a sparkler exit shot. Okay, there's kind of the approach of going all natural, right, where you don't use any off-camera lighting, or you can do this approach that you did, Scott, where you clearly have an off-camera flash going on. I've seen it done well both. And I've done it both ways. And I would have to say that my favorite results and the most consistent results have always been without flash. So let's talk about what we did here with this flash. I can't see your settings because they didn't come through. But once again, we have an ambient light problem because our background, we don't have enough information. Okay, it's too dark. It's like, I don't know how many stops under. It's probably 4 or 5 stops underexposed. So it's too dark. We've got these harsh shadows that are coming. The next problem then is because it's the ambient isn't balanced right and you've got a blue flash, you get this flash catching all the smoke, and so it's causing all the blue to occur. It's also on camera flash, directly facing out. There's no softening of it. It's just like straight on your camera, and so it's shooting right at them and it's flattening them out. And again, causing some weird kind of harsh shadows here, and then a super flat like paper couple. When I say paper, I just mean there's no dimension on them. And so those are a number of the issues. Now, a couple ways to do flash well in this situation could be to use a flash as a backlight, to do a backlit flash. There is some backlighting going on this bro right back here, so maybe you did attempt that, or maybe that's just something else. I'm not sure. But to do backlighting could be a way, and to at the very least get your flash off your camera. To do this, we use the Canon 600s or the Yonglo 600 series, where it's got built-in wireless. And we just put a trigger on our camera, and I'll literally hold the flash out to my side of my left hand, and I'll put a little tiny softbox on that. So if you're going to go the flash route, put a backlight there behind them, and then gel it to warm it up a little bit. Put a radio trigger on your camera and hold your flash 3 feet off to the left. Now you're actually going to have form dimension. That all being said, once again, I don't think it makes the best results. I think it gets tricky. So let's talk about what you could do. Let's go back and take a look at this shot, okay? So this is shot all natural. And all natural here, and I'll give you settings for this too. So this is shot all natural. One of the reasons I really like this is these moments, you guys, the sparkler exit moment is it's a very cinematic moment, right? It's this very like kind of idealized cinematic moment, but it's also very real and raw. And from my experience, from a pure feeling perspective, the feeling of the natural sparkler light and the dimness is a better feeling. It conveys the actual moment and memories experience better than when you're lighting with a flash. All right, that's one part to it. Additionally, I've just found that, again, when I don't have to worry about flash firing and syncing and people getting in the ways and shadows and mixed lighting and all this stuff, I just get way more usable shots. So what I do with this is I'm almost always shooting with a 50 millimeter or a 35 millimeter. Typically, I'll go a 35 millimeter. I will shoot at f2. So I'll start my settings with a 35 millimeter. I'll shoot at f2. I want that to be wide, like open enough to let in as much light as possible, but not so crazy shallow that as they're walking towards me, I have a bunch of missed shots. So 35, f2. At this point, I want my shutter to be as low as I feel comfortable going without motion blur. Because I'm going to be walking backwards, I will go to 125th, 1 over 125, 1/125th of a second. That's the way to say it. 1/125th of a second, you guys. That's kind of the money shot for me. That's like the speed that I find that when I'm walking backwards and I'm stumbling and the crowd's yelling, and I can still manage to get a shot with a 35 millimeter or even a 50 that works. So we're at 35. We got f2, 1/125, and then from there I will dial my ISO up, and I'll usually start it at 1600 ISO to maybe 2000. So 1600 ISO, sometimes even 3200 ISO, depending on how much other ambient light. In your situation, my bro, there's like no ambient light. You got nothing. You just got sparklers. So I'd probably actually start it at 3200 ISO. Gasp, 3200. You guys get over it. It's okay. 3200 ISO, like it's all good. I'd much rather have a shot that looks great with a like a shit ton of noise in it that you can remove and post than not have the shot at all or have a blurry shot or a overly flash exposed shot. So start at 3200, and then you wait like a hawk, and you wait for the very first person to light their sparkler, okay? And as soon as they light the sparkler, it's all about practice. It's all about test shots, okay? As soon as they light their sparkler, you run up to that person like a banshee out of hell, and you ask them, hold that up to your face real quick. Hold it up to your face, and you just rattle off a quick shot. Look at the back of your camera, and from there, you either turn your ISO up or down. All right, you should probably be pretty good at 3200 right there, but you may have to go up to 64, and that's it. And then you just go to town. I white balance for tungsten, and you can move it all over in post because at that point you only have one white balance to deal with. You only have one flash to deal with, and so that's what we're doing here with this shot. And man, it's money. It's the way to go. So that would be my encouragement next time. And maybe, actually, my next advice too is I think to practice some of this too. Get out and pull your 50 out, pull a 35 out, do those settings like I said, f2, 125, 1600, 3200 ISO, light some sparklers, and just start running around your driveway like crazy and see what you get. Next up, it's a vertical shot when it should be a horizontal shot. I want to see all these people. I think that this stuff up here just doesn't matter. It's not doing jack for me. So I'd much rather why you know rotate. There we go. Okay, I'd much rather see something like this, but wider and more people. And you can go. I love this guy's reaction back here. You can go full body with that again with a 35. You know what I mean? So I just want to see more people because of the situation at hand. With the whole flash and everything, I think that this is just a case for a black and white. I think already I just saved the day with that, and so you could do some clarity stuff, and we could pull some exposure, and you could even create a semblance of light and shadow a little bit more, like kind of darkening up some of this stuff, and then even let's just like darken out some of these things maybe up here. Yeah, something like that. Anyhow, I would just mess around with black and whiting that particular shot if it's going to be that rough. So that's it, you guys. Let's hop back over to me here. Let's see what else is up. Hey, we're back. You guys, thank you so much for submitting these images. This is fantastic. I hope this has been helpful. I'd love to see more. If you've already submitted, submit again, dude. If you do another Spark Lexus shot, try what I said and then submit that, and let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation about what you can continue to do better, that kind of stuff. Again, I hope this has been awesome. I hope it's been helpful. You guys keep sending over images. We're going to do this again next Wednesday, so definitely do it. Thanks again, you guys, for everyone who participated. That's about it. You guys, tomorrow is when Abundance closes up the early bird pricing. So check that out. We have, I think, 3 spots left. Check it out, man. I'm going to go live again a little bit later. We're going to have another conversation about it. But until then, you guys, thanks again. We'll talk soon. Adios. Wait for it.